campus-wide power failure, what to do in extreme weather conditions. So, highest weather risk for DTS, thunderstorms and lightning, extreme heat and cold, tornadoes, and let's just say earthquakes just for the kicks of it. Except I was reading a report where they said in the next 50 years there's a 0.27% chance of us being affected by an earthquake in the next 50 years. So extremely rare. It's mainly the first three that we might encounter. So those are our weather risks that we're going to have. You will notice that on the news and stuff, we are typically warned between a watch and a warning, right? So a thunderstorm watch, thunderstorm warning. And it's good to know the difference between the two. So what is the difference? If we are under a watch, the conditions are favorable for that condition. So example is tornado watch. The conditions then are favorable for a tornado to take place. Well, if you hear then that it is a warning, the condition is actualized. So if it progresses to a tornado warning, there's now a tornado. So that's really important to remember when you're watching the news, when you're listening to things on the radio. If we're under a watch, that means the conditions are favorable. If we're under a warning, it's been actualized. So that way we can respond appropriately. So tornado, that would be probably the most devastating thing that we will encounter here at DTS. But I kind of wanted to do a little fun fact on what is a tornado. So I have a little clip from Scientific American that explains what a tornado is for those of you that have never seen one or lived in an area that had them. I grew up in West Texas, so we had them all the time. So it's just good to have an understanding of what a tornado is. So let's watch this.
Tornadoes occur on every continent except Antarctica, but more form over the central United States than anywhere else in a zone called Tornado Alley. That's because conditions in the alley are ideal for creating tornadoes. Warm, humid air low to the ground moves north from the Gulf of Mexico and collides with cool, dry air high above the ground rolling in from the Rocky Mountains. The collision of air masses creates a supercell, a massive thunderstorm that has a strong rotating updraft of air. Scientists aren't exactly sure what happens next, but the leading idea goes like this. The difference in speed between the faster high winds and the slower low winds causes the air in between to rotate around a horizontal axis. If one end of the rolling air gets caught in the updraft, it's bent upward and forms a funnel cloud. Its spin gets tighter and faster, and the cloud gets longer. Rain or hail from the thunderstorm can then push down on the tail of the funnel cloud till it reaches the ground, forming a tornado. The top wind speed of most tornadoes is usually under 110 miles an hour, and most are on the ground for less than 10 minutes. However, extreme tornadoes are truly extreme. The longest tornado path was cut by the Tri-State tornado on March 18, 1925. It tore up property for 219 miles, was on the ground for well over 3 hours, and killed 747 people. Which is why I'll be hanging out here in Antarctica with the penguins until tornado season is over.
So that's a little bit of how a tornado forms. Like he was saying, it is something that is serious. It can kill people. It destroys a lot when it touches on the ground. We had one in 2012 here in Dallas that hit here as well as Fort Worth, and that was actually one of the first times they've seen two tornadoes hit two major cities at the exact same time. So it can cause a lot of destruction, a lot of death if it touches down. So tornadoes, although rare, downtown Dallas is still at risk for tornadoes. Dallas is on the southern edge of what is considered Tornado Alley. Most tornadoes occur in the rural areas outside of downtown Dallas. And from 1950 to 2011, Dallas has had 87 tornadoes. And they mainly occur in April and May. So we're about to head out of that time where they will most likely happen. And like I said, when they have hit Dallas, they're usually out in the surrounding areas, and they tend to be within the F1, F3 area. So not the most severe, but they can still cause some damage. But like I said, though, it's still something we need to be aware of, and we need to know the proper protocol in case there is a tornado warning. So what to do in a tornado warning? Remember, a warning is when the thing is actualized. So there's actually a tornado. What do? Remain indoors. Go to the safest area of your building. Now, the safest area will always be a basement. If there is no basement in that building, it is then a hallway or long corridor with doors closed. So let's think about here on our campus. What buildings have basements? Todd? Hendricks? The basement, and the basement of the library, right? Now, let's say you're in Walford, like we had a tornado warning, what was it, 2 weeks ago? If you're in Walford, where would be a good area to go? Bathroom. Also, that handicap access ramp is another great location because there's no windows in that area. You want as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and you want doors closed. So bathroom, long corridor, let's say the basement of Todd is full. That first floor along the classrooms and professor offices would be another good area if you couldn't get down in the basement. So those are some good places to be. Stay away from the windows. One thing that was frustrating 2 weeks ago was in Walford, students did not want to move away from the windows. That is extremely dangerous because when a tornado hit, right, the biggest thing that will kill you is projectiles. And if glass is flying around, it will kill you. So you want to stay away from anything that could be thrown and could hurt you, mainly like glass. Now, if you're in the safe area, be sure to lay on the floor and cover your head with your arms and hands. Why? Because we want to protect like our neck region and our head region so that we don't die. Afterwards, wait for proper authority to give the go-ahead unless it is life-threatening. That's the other thing. Just because you don't hear anything doesn't mean that you can just like leave, right? Stay in that area until someone has radioed you or an authority figure has come by and let you know that the coast is clear. If it's life-threatening, then yes, you need to go and find medical attention. But otherwise, it is not your own decision to give the go-ahead, right? That's why we have procedures like we have here at DTS with protocol in place so that the upper authorities can trickle it down to us and let us know what to do. So here's actually a tornado safety video from the U.S. National Weather Service announcement. They did a really good job on it, so I'll have us check it out. So it gives us stuff in case you're driving. Let's say you're out in a company vehicle or something like that.
If your area is under a tornado warning, act now. You may only have a few minutes to get to safety. Seek shelter immediately. Go to a safe room, basement, storm cellar, or the lowest level in a sturdy building. If there is no basement, go to the center of the building and away from windows and doors. Put as many walls as possible between you and the outside. Get under a sturdy object like a table and cover yourself with pillows and blankets. Use your arms to protect your head and neck. A helmet can offer some protection too. If you are in a car, drive to a shelter immediately. If there isn't enough time and you are caught by extreme winds or flying debris, park the car as quickly and safely as possible out of the traffic lanes. Stay in the car with the seatbelt on. Put your head down below the windows. Cover your head with your hands and a blanket, coat, or other cushion if possible. Do not park under an overpass or bridge, and never try to outrun a tornado in an urban or congested area. If you are outside, find the lowest point on the ground and lie face down. Use your arms to protect your head and neck. And most importantly, watch out for flying debris. It causes most fatalities and injuries. Safety is job number one. Get weather ready.
So yeah, there's some more additional information there. If any of y'all saw the Superman movie, the new one, if y'all remember back to where Clark Kent's dad gets killed, there's a tornado and everyone gets out of their vehicles and runs under a bridge. And the dad stays in the vehicle to get a dog out and he ends up getting sucked up and dies. And Clark Kent's like, oh no, this is so bad. My dad died. According to this, that's actually wrong to do, right? You don't want to go under a bridge or overpass. You want to stay in your vehicle, remain buckled in, so that way you don't get thrown out or anything like that. And you want to seek cover within the vehicle. So Just a little reminder in case you watch a movie or something and they do something like that. So, what do we do then during a campus-wide power failure? So let's say we've had a tornado, or let's say we've had some extreme heat like rolling blackouts or something, which could very well happen here this summer. It tends to happen almost every summer here. Or in the winter with extreme cold, with snow and ice. Well, there's a protocol in place where we have primary respondents and secondary communication respondents. These are the guys that are going to determine what the problem is. After the source of the power failure has been identified, it's then reported by one of these primary respondents. The primary responders will then communicate across campus to the necessary people, including campus police. It is not our jobs, most of us in here, to go and determine what the issue is and make the call on what to do. It's the primary responders and then the secondary who will take care of it. So why? Why do we set this in place? Well, we have to look after the campus. That's one of the reasons, right? We don't want news stations showing up and then, let's say I just start giving them a report of what happened and I don't really understand the situation. We set this up so that we can respond appropriately, so that we can communicate with outside sources appropriately, like news people, etc. So here's an example of an interview gone wrong and why we want to follow the proper channels.
Let's listen in to George Lindell. He was driving one of the cars involved in the collision that brought down those power poles.
He tells the story in a way that no one else can.
I was just minding my own business. Bam! Hit me hard right from the back. I was glued to my seat. I was like, whoa! I could see the car in front of me. I was about to hit him, so I kind of veered off this way. As I veered off this way, the guy who hit me veered off that other way, and he hit the curb, flipped over, rolled over, run into the electrical pole, and I didn't know he hit the pole. All of a sudden, I kind of stopped, and I was like, whoa! And the wires come down, boom, and then arc, bam, that fire was coming everywhere. It was arcing, sparking, blowing up. I saw one arc go from the corner of my van up to the car behind me. It was like a big rainbow, boom, and it was coming up, boom, boom, and I was like, shoo! So I opened up my door, I didn't touch no metal, and as I come up, I started to touch the top, and a little spark jumped up. I was like, whoa! I stepped out, rest of the way. Lucky I didn't get burned more. So, crazy? Oh, it was crazy, dude. I was just sitting there and I was like, oh! Reality hits you hard, bro.
Reality hits you hard, bro. So, I mean, that's why we follow this protocol and stuff. I mean, we want to make sure we have people in place that know what to do in these extreme cases. I know, like, that guy is hilarious and stuff, but it's not our job to go to the news people and give our accounts. We have people on campus that will notify those authorities and news stations and give the appropriate responses. So then what should we do? So the average worker here in FPO, what is our responsibility? In a campus-wide power failure, we will most likely lose our radio repeater. So therefore, in those events, switch your radio to channel
6.
Okay? Then, unless otherwise noted, continue working. If radio communication is not available, or let's say you're just unsure of what you need to be doing, go to the FPO break room and you can just wait for directions there. So if you're just really distraught, you're scared, you're not sure what to do, always go to the FPO break room. That's going to be our main contact point then to get a hold of you. We'll direct you from there. And it's just a good place for us to regather and regroup if things get crazy. Also, during a campus-wide power failure, campus police will be monitoring channel 3. Okay? So during a power failure, we're going to be channel 3. Normally, they're on channel 1. And like I said, all of this is just so that we can be aware of the situation. Do not leave your work area, like I said, and go be Sherlock Holmes. You're not a detective. It's not your job to. Keep working unless otherwise directed, and if all else fails, go to the FPO break room and they'll direct you from there.